explain. So I'm gonna explain the order of the music videos, okay? So, all right, I need to remember. Okay, so the letters say Clancy lives in Dima, okay? So he lives in Dima. He's been living there. We don't know how he got there, why, or if he just was born there, but I can't remember if it was 6th or 9th year in. I'm just gonna say 9 because it's longer. His 9th year into living in Dima, he was like, I don't actually really like this. This is actually kind of a drag. So he started escaping. Okay, and the thing about the city, Dima, is Dima. It is ruled by 3699. Sorry. It is ruled by 9 bishops, okay? So Clancy Tyler went to one of the bishops, the scariest one apparently, which is it was a choice, I think. That was definitely a choice. Why you would go to the scariest one, I don't know. Maybe he wanted bragging rights, who's to say? He was like, hey, Nico, can you take me for a ride in a car? Out. I don't know, we don't know what he said, but he was like, can you take me for a ride out in a car? And so that is the Heavy Dirty Soul video. Driving the car, okay, but Nico is actually possessing the driver of the car because the driver is actually dead. But he was fine because he was dead to begin with. Yeah, he was dead to begin with, and so, because Nico was like, I'm not actually gonna go in that car because they don't like going out unless it's on a horse or whatever. So he's like, I'm gonna send one of the possessed to drive the car, because you never know, it's a car, I don't drive cars, I ride horses. So Nico driving the car, and then Tyler, which this is a devious plan, Tyler was like, somehow lit the car on fire. Okay, so that was planned. And he was like,
oh no, fire, car falling apart, oh no, we all go away. Boing, 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 we all ended. Smoke, it's a lot of smoke. Okay.
And so, yeah, the car falls apart, and then obviously the Nico is like, well, whoops. And you can't exactly chase him down because I think he's just on fire. So like the possessed Nico person is on fire as well.
So that leads to
It is referenced in the many letters that he is in Trench. In Dima, people kind of know about Trench, but it's kind of like, oh, don't talk about that. That's like a bummer or whatever. You know how people in cults do. So put that right there. So it's a continent. It's considered a continent of Trench, okay? And Dima resides on Trench, but of course the bishops are like, no, it's not because we're a sacred municipality or whatever. East equals down, because if you're looking at a compass and you're like, I want to go east to the land, you're going to end up in the ocean, and then you're going to end up going back to Dima because you're like, oh, there's no Trench, it's not an actual place, it really is just Dima, so I'll just go back, where, in the Nico and the Niners video, it's always like east is up, which orients the compass correctly. So if you actually, if you point the compass in the right direction and you ended up going west, which is where you wanted to go or something, you would end up on the land and thus not be lost, and then not have to go back to evil cement land. East equals up. Okay. Sorry. So back to the jumpsuit music video. Okay. So he's traveling through Trench and he's really tired. And this is referenced in the letters where he's like, oh my God, this is really tiring. Like, this is a nightmare. Like, it's literally like he's backpacking, okay? He's backpacking. It's awful. He's hiking without hiking boots. I mean, he is, but trying to just give you that feel of he's having a miserable time, okay? So he's hiking without hiking boots, okay? He has no friends with him, which is just a bummer, you know? So he's traveling through Trench, canyons, and he's like, ooh, canyons, nice, I've never seen this before. And so he's like traveling through the canyons. And then in his letters, he's like, he sees the Banditos, which is a new thing because people were like, oh, they don't really exist because, you know, cults lie. And so he was like, oh my gosh, they really do exist. And then that's when he has an out-of-body experience, okay? And he's watching himself from somewhere in the trench, okay? In the canyon, okay? And I think he was accidentally possessing a vulture for lots of reasons. There's a lot of like possession in this universe, so just get used to it. There's a lot of possession, and Tyler is special. Clancy Tyler is special. He can possess things, but he didn't know that, so awkward. But yeah, he was watching himself basically get captured by Nico before, when he had escaped, because he's escaped a bunch of times before. He was usually captured by Keons, who is like nicer, you know? But Nico is like really aggressive, and I'm sorry if there's a truck, but it's loud-ish. Okay. Oh, okay. So since the Banditos know about Tyler now, it's like, oh, we should go back for him. We should go get him because we know that he's trying to get out, so we should go and help him. Okay. And in this video, you actually see a something Council of the Glorious Gone. Basically, they I have no idea if YouTube will take me down, so I'm just going to use the acceptable term, apparently, which is unalive. They unalive some people who are the most, like, they had been following the rules the best, like, their whole life. So they become the Glorious Gone, which means that they die. And so we see this ritual powwow thing going on. We don't see this kill them because they're interrupted by the noise. There's too much noise. They're like, argh. But they escape in the trench. And then that's when we see the levitate video, okay? And everyone's like, you know, dancing, they're doing their thing, and they're like, yay, he's out, which is cool. And then, but of course, it's kind of a cycle because the bishops are really annoyed that Clancy keeps leaving, and then they keep having to drag him back, and then he keeps leaving, and then they have to get him back, and so they're like they're really salty about this, okay? So they're like trying particularly to get him back. So they kidnap Clancy again. And then the cycle continues. And then it's referenced in the letters, I think it's this one, where they were especially mad, so they're like, we're gonna throw him in prison. So they put him in just a concrete cell, which is just loads of fun. I think he talked about like it was like damp and just cold and stuff, which is like not lit. That sounds against the Geneva Convention, but you know, I don't think the bishops adhere to the Geneva Convention, but you know, who am I to judge? I don't think it says when it happens, but at some point, I'm just gonna assume it's like a couple weeks because they need to let him rot for a couple weeks anyway. So they're just, at a couple weeks, they come to his door and they're like, hey, come with us. They don't tell him anything. They're just like, come with us. And then they go to a blue door, and blue signifies defeat in this universe, I believe. I've heard that mentioned somewhere. I don't know if it's true, but we're just gonna go with it. They go to a blue door and they're like, going to the blue door. And he's like, okay. And then there's a desk and he sits at the desk and they're like, okay, you write out a really cool show because all the people in Dima keep hearing about how you keep escaping and then we have to drag you back and then you keep escaping and it's like not good for our image. So we need you to make a really cool show to convince them that it's actually really cool to stay in Dima and that we're just like a normal society, okay? So yeah, they force him to write that. So they're basically forcing him to use his creativity to make something against his morals, okay? And then that's when the live stream music video performance comes out. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was really cool. You can probably see clips of it somewhere on YouTube. And then they were like, you also have to perform it because you can sing and you have a good voice. You were raised a Baptist or whatever, so you can sing really well. So then it goes to live stream show. And that's where you see the really spooky, the hosts of the show, and they're all like, eventually they start like getting all like gross and stuff. Because those were actually dead bodies, and then the bishops were like, we need to oversee the show, we need to be involved because we want to be famous as well. So they possessed those two bodies, and the thing is when you possess a body, it is dead, and it doesn't stop the decay, so eventually the bodies just start decaying, which is why you saw them get all gross and weird and like, ugh. And then that's why you start seeing their eyes get like yellower and yellower, because they can't keep up the facade because they don't have control over, death. I mean, decay at least. They don't have control over decay. And then, okay, and then the live show, and then they were like, all right, that was great. That's great. So they just throw him back, and after that's done, they throw him back in Dima, okay? The bishops are like, okay, that was really lit, okay. That was really helpful for our citizens. So we want you to perform again, okay, because, yeah. So this leads to the Saturday music video, which is a bit confusing, which is why I'm explaining it to you now, and I'm basically saying, trust me, bro, this is what happened. Okay? And everyone's really, hyped, and it's like super lit, and rich people stuff. And the people that are like on the boat, those are the people that are going to become the Glorious Gons. So they're basically the bishops are either going to give them early game over mode, or they're gonna early game over themselves. So don't ask me. But those are the people that are on the boat. And on the submarine, it's a submarine, sorry, why do I keep saying boat? It's a submarine. On the submarine there are bishops, but though Clancy says in his note, he's like, I knew that those weren't the actual bishops, but they were still dressed as bishops, and he's like, I don't really know why that is, but we know that those were dead people that are possessed by bishops, and that's why they're wearing the bishop's clothing, because it's them, but they're not physically there, they're there in spirit. And then, remember I mentioned that Keon's is nicer than the rest of the bishops? Keon's actually betrays all the other bishops, and so he possesses Trash the Dragon, which is the dragon. The dragon attacks the submarine, okay? So... the dragon has yellow eyes, okay? Remember we saw the dragon's like, no, yellow eyes, okay? And he attacks the submarine, which is not a yellow submarine. I was like, it should be a yellow submarine, that'd be really... attacks the yellow submarine, okay? And everyone's like, oh no, and it's like, whoa, it's on fire. It's not on fire, but it's like, there's water inside, even though there's water outside, but it becomes on the inside, which is bad for a submarine. So a bunch of people are like, oh crap, and so they all start swimming. And funny story, there are actually 21 people survive. And that's how Keon's betrayed the other bishops, is because he was basically helping Clancy and Josh escape. Because he's like, this is as good a time as ever when you are under the water, like you are at the bottom of the ocean in a submarine. This is a great time to help you escape. Fair, but also like, that's a gamble. Oh, that was a gamble. But it worked because 21 people survived it. Yay. But all the dead people who were possessed by bishops, they're dead. I think they're dead. Goes the Saturday music video that leads to the outside. Outside. Yeah, that leads to the outside music video. Okay. Because Tyler Clancy washes up on the beach. He lands on an island called Voldsoy. And Josh is like, come on, because it's cold, and Tyler is tired. I get it, I totally get it, that was me this morning. And then they go and they find the Neds, and all the Neds are named Ned. They don't have different names, they're just all named Ned. And so when they refer to each other, as Ned. They're like, hi Ned, hi Ned. It's literally the scene from Barbie where it's like, hi Barbie, but it's like, hi Ned. Anyway, and so, and then we especially know that Keon super betrayed the bishops because one of the Neds left a note somewhere, was like, hey, Clancy and the Torchbearer, which is Josh's name in this universe, basically, because he bears a torch. Good job, Josh. We love a good Torchbearer. A Ned is telling another Ned, and it's like, note to Ned. Clancy and Torchbearer were at the something of Voldsoy, just like Keon said. Love Ned. So that's how we know that like Keon's was like super in like big betrayal mode. And I don't really know why. I don't know why. Some people are saying that bishop is Clancy's dad. I think that's kind of a stretch, but I also wouldn't really be surprised. We've seen that the bishops can possess dead bodies at will, okay? And then it's noted in Clancy's journal notes and entries and letters that he had actually been experiencing like episodes, of like out-of-body experiences. And now it's like, oh, he actually has the ability to possess things as well. He just didn't know it because like the bishops aren't exactly going to be like, hey, if you can possess things, like, and I think that's part of the reason they really wanted him back, was because if they could possess him and then he doesn't like die and decay and stuff, they could just keep using him. So that'd be really helpful. Or if they were like, hey, you need to go possess this thing or do that, then it's like they have like a sleeper agent or whatever, I don't know. So anyway, Clancy is like, oh, I have the horns now. I think I've seen them do this before, and then the Neds actually show him how to do it as well. So he basically, and then that's what you see at the beginning of the outside music video, is all the other bishops killing Keons because he was possessing Trash the Dragon. And then I just look like a crazy person right now. He was possessing Trash the Dragon, and they come down in their basement and they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? you know, and then they stab him to death. I saw somebody on Reddit refer to it as they totally Julius Caesared him, which I thought was really funny. Yeah, so they stab him to death, like he's dead, you know, and so his body is like on the floor, and so he's like basically like a new host. And so the Neds were like, hey, Keon's is dead. How do they know that? Maybe just kind of like they saw it coming, like, oh, they're just gonna kill him. So they're like, hey, Tyler, here are the horns. Here's how you possess a person. Why don't you possess Nico, or not Nico, Keon's, because he's dead. Probably would have wanted it anyway. So, and that's why you see the eyes start glowing, is because he's being possessed by Tyler. And that's like how I said that the what did I say had the yellow eyes? Was it the vulture? I think this was, did I tell you? Okay, well, the vulture on the album has yellow eyes. So I think that's the out-of-body experience that Clancy was having while he was being kidnapped in a jumpsuit video, was him possessing the vulture, because the vulture was dead. Yeah. So that's where we are. Oh, and that's why you see the whole thing of like Keon's, you know, starts like dancing, and then the bishops are like, this can't be Keon's because he can't dance. We know this. He lights Dima on fire, and then there's a note. Clancy references in his note talking about Torchbearer has 2 accomplices across the ocean, because Clancy and Torchbearer are on Voltsoy, which is an island, so they're like across the ocean. I have to get into that at some point, the whole map thing. That's going to be complicated. So yeah, that's what you see at the end of the outside music video, is them like lifting up their torches, and then the other people at the other side. Those are the accomplices that Torchbearer knows. And yeah, yeah. I will link the website in the description, so you can just go through and like read all of them, and then hopefully you can kind of piece that together. Hopefully my insane ramblings on the whiteboard will kind of help with the timeline of the music video. So yeah, I hope it helped, and